Hello, friends. Welcome to Story Time. This week, it's a true story about an inspiring life. It's called Planting Stories, The Life of Librarian and Storyteller Pura Belpré. It was written by Anika Adamuy Denise, and illustrations are by Paola Escobar. Enjoy. It is 1921. Pura Teresa Belpré leaves her home in San Juan for a visit to Nueva York. Words travel with her, stories her abuela taught her, cuentos folclóricos Pura retold in the shade of a tamarind tree in Puerto Rico. Now a new island stretches before her, ripe for planting seeds of the cuentos she carries. Manhattan, a city of hustle and bustle, bigger, louder, crowded, yet alive with hope and possibility. What began as a visit to celebrate her sister's wedding becomes the first steps in a new land, y una vida nueva for Pura. She works first in a garment factory, but it is cold floors and hard edges, not the soft fertile ground where seeds take root. Then a golden opportunity, una bendición. The library needs a bilingual assistant. Pura speaks Spanish, English, and French. She is perfect for the job. But where are her abuela's stories? Not one folk tale from Puerto Rico is on the shelves. How lucky for the library that Pura has story seeds ready to plant and grow. In the children's room, she lights the story hour candle and begins. Her eyes dance, her voice sings. Pura's words paint a picture of a little house with a round balcony where Martina, a beautiful Spanish cockroach, meets Perez, a handsome and gallant mouse. El ratoncito Perez y la cucarachita Martina, a tale from the tamarind tree. When Pura's story is done, each child makes a wish on the candle, and with a wisp of air, whoosh, la vela is blown out. Now Pura has a wish too, to plant her story seeds throughout the land. Pura learns to make puppets. She snips and sews their clothes, paints their delicate faces. Families come to hear folk tales in Inglés y Español, to watch Pura's puppets dance across the stage of her stories. But the library needs libros for its shelves. How can more children read Perez y Martina and other cuentos de Puerto Rico? Pura puts her story in an envelope and mails it to Frederick Warne, a publisher. Soon Perez y Martina is a book. Now a published author, puppeteer, and storyteller, Pura travels from branch to branch, classroom to classroom, to churches and community centers, planting her story seeds in the hearts and minds of children new to this island who wish to remember la lengua y los colores of home. Writing, learning, speaking, teaching, traveling, Pura does not slow down until, like the beautiful Martina, she meets her Perez. On a December day in New York, Pura marries the musician Clarence Cameron White. Un año away from the library, she decides. 1 year to start a new life as a wife. But a year stretches on. Together they travel to new cities. Clarence plays his music. Pura tells her stories. They are happy years of music and writing, separations and reunions, friends, family, and stories, always. Until on a June day in New York, Clarence stops playing his music, and Pura's story must begin again. It is 1961. Pura returns to the library. There are others now, storytellers who make puppets dance, who read Perez y Martina, The Tiger and the Rabbit, Juan Bobo, The Three Magi, and many more of Pura's stories to the children. The seeds she has planted, The roots that grew shoots into the open air of possibility have become a lush landscape into which she steps as though she has never left. If stories have endings, this is the end of this one. Sort of. If you'd like to learn more about Pura Belpré, continue listening. Author's note. The seeds of the idea for this book first took root as I stood in the New York Public Library's Central Branch gazing up at a large black and white photo of Pura Belpré, author, storyteller, and the first Puerto Rican librarian in New York City. Seeing the larger-than-life image of this remarkable Boricua woman I'd long admired, I felt a swell of pride and, along with it, the warmth of recognition, for Pura's photo brought to mind my titis, aunts, first-generation mainland Americans whose parents migrated to New York from Puerto Rico. Pura Teresa Belpré was born in 1899 in the rural town of Sidra, Puerto Rico, to a family of storytellers. Many of the folk tales she learned as a child were told to her by her grandmother. I remember during school recess that some of us would gather under the shade of the tamarind tree, Pura wrote. There we would take turns telling stories. These stories came with me to the United States. I thought of myself as a storyteller. I wished to be like Johnny Appleseed, who in the United States was known for planting apple seeds across the land, and so I wished to plant my story seeds across the land. But being Johnny Appleseed was not always Pura's dream. She had planned on becoming a teacher and enrolled at the University of Puerto Rico, poised to begin her studies. Then, in 1921, she traveled to New York for her sister Elisa's wedding. She may have chosen to remain in New York simply because she liked it, or perhaps, like many immigrants arriving in America, she was drawn by the promise of opportunity. For Pura, opportunity arrived at the New York Public Library. After working briefly in the garment industry, Pura was hired as a bilingual assistant at the 135th Street branch in Harlem. Her job was to find books and create programs that would appeal to the neighborhood's growing Spanish-speaking community. When Pura discovered there weren't any actual Spanish books in the library, she wrote them herself. They became the first mainstream Latinx storybooks published in America. Putting to use the skills she'd been learning in library school, Pura made colorful puppets for bilingual story hours and hosted traditional Latinx holiday celebrations featuring folk tales performed in English and Spanish. Spanish-speaking immigrants who once thought the library wasn't for them now felt at home. Pura's boundless energy, curiosity, and captivating storytelling transformed the branches where she worked into vibrant cultural community hubs. Even into her later years, Pura took buses and trains across the city, uptown and downtown, from the Bronx to the Lower East Side, bringing her magical storytelling and puppetry to children. On the eve of her death on July 1st, 1982, Pura received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the New York Public Library. Now, each year, the American Library Association recognizes outstanding works of literature by Latinx authors and illustrators with the Pura Belpré Award. Her life and work as a librarian, storyteller, author, and advocate for the Latinx community is a testament to the power of our own stories to build bridges, not just to literacy, but to social change. Every time I enter the bright and cheerful children's room of the library or read a Puerto Rican folktale to my daughters, I think of Pura and feel grateful for the seeds she planted. If you're interested in learning more about Pura Belpré and the work she's done, here are some resources you can investigate.